Hello and welcome to another coaching video, and in this one we have another early pre-buff invade, except this time it's by Diamond Plus. ELO game, we have Lee Sin versus Viego, and this is a classic one that most of you should be familiar with if you've ever seen a Rengar play. Rengar Fiora especially love to do this. Go for these top-side 5-man stack invades against comps where you're unlikely to see them do the same. You know, Akama, Caitlyn, poke a little bit. Viego, shadow a little bit. Katarina, opportunistically hover or, type some L9 stuff while sitting on the turret. So what you can do in these cases is, if everyone is ready to go, do this late invade. And as Lee Sin here, actually I'm thinking of a humorous thing last weekend where I played with this guy, as I'll tell you in a second, Malphite decides to face check and be like, yo, what's going on? Now the whole enemy team knows. And Viego's in this tough conundrum, which is why I kind of wanted to highlight this in particular. Instead of doing like some kind of nonsense long game, I wanted to show you as a diamond player looking for mastery here. The way you got to think changes drastically. So as I was saying, I was playing with this big fat Malphite, got him 2-3 games in a row. I'm playing the Zyra jungle, and we just got on these late invades early. And it allows you to compromise a lot of different champions, and if you know what to do afterwards, you take away their entire game. So let's see if the Lee Sin can, one, do that, and two, what should the Viego do to kind of offset this if possible. Now, we of course have two people topside chasing the Malphite for the kill. We have Viego sitting with Katarina as the Blitzcrank face checks down. The Viego has hung on to this way too long. As soon as they showed up here as a 4-5 stack, Viego has to say, look, I'm out. I'm out. I have to leave. I have no choice. Purely because if they decide to fight, they will lose. So it's good that he It's good that he leaves. He decides not to, instead coin flips. And as always, please consider having a look at my jungle courses on my website, as well as joining us in the private jungle Discord to have access not only to the free jungle improvement PDF, but also weekly coaching classes, lectures, Q&As, and so much more, in addition to all of the jungle video courses included with it. The absolute jungle paradise for all junglers is virkayu.gg. This happens in so many different MMRs, because what's the Lee Sin gonna do now? He's going to do this, into crossing, into defending, because of the fact he was actually up on this top side. What Viego should have done, very simply, is if he has any sort of pressure here, he can go to the red side. Straight up, he can quickly, as soon as he sees them show up, go to the red side. Like right here, we see the Malphite, we see the Fiora, so we're like, okay, is it just the Fiora, or is it someone else? We see everybody. You're gone. Right now, you're going straight down all the way here, because you know you have numbers advantage, and you know the only person who's not in the picture is the Sivir, and she has to get to lane. She has to. So if we move on down here very quickly, yes, they would see us. Right? It'd be pretty obvious that they would see us. But at the very least, you'd be able to maybe try and invade and do something. And now you're seeing what I'm seeing and you're going, hold up, but Victor has Prior and Blitzcrank. Exactly. So is it really the play we want to make? Only if these two here overcommit to kill the Malphite, burn their flashes, they die, they go back to base here. If that doesn't happen and they're moving on down, you can't afford to counter invade this stuff because the Blitzcrank is just going to troll you. So what do? Just go to your wolves, man. Go to your wolves, do your Grump, do your blue, get level 3, and then watch the Lee Sin and kind of see what he actually does. So what the Lee Sin should be doing is actually saying, haha, I'm going to do the Raptors here, but he's too afraid of the Viego counter invading his red, so he cuts through mid lane, right, just to defend his red, and then realizes, aha, wait a second. If Viego detached from the Raptors, he has to go to his blue side. So the Viego has given away all the information necessary for the Lee Sin to go make some irritating plays. Now, whether or not these are always the best plays, it doesn't really matter. It's, are they irritating or not? Now, the Lee Sin here makes a big mistake, and we can see this, right? The Viego does what I said he should have done, all right? But the Lee Sin, while crossing here and cutting back, makes the illusion, hey, I'm actually doing my red, but I'm not. Now they're both in this zone together, and it's just an absolute shit show. So, Lee Sin, first and foremost, my friend, you had total control. What you should have done is something... What are you doing, Viego? Oh my god. Oh, I did not imagine it would be this... See? When people jokingly, hopefully, refer to diamond players, this is the kind of stuff we're talking about. This is the kind of stuff in that diamond course we get rid of. Get rid of all this stuff. We make you have snappy decisions. Lee Sin, we can take this... into this and snowball Fiora. I feel like that's a pretty good idea. What does that mean? It means if Viego has to start Wolves, Grump Blue, if he's intelligent, he's already doing that. We have the Blitzcrank roaming down to protect in case he decided to cheese red, which he didn't. What this means is you can effectively now gank this lane and either fall back to your blue side, commit some sort of vertical jungling, or you can go back to base directly and try and push the Viego out while preventing a dive that will happen because it's Karma Caitlyn. Do you follow what I'm saying here? That's the important part. What he doesn't do though is he goes red straight, he doesn't do it. He goes red straight across the mid lane, cuts in here, and he goes to the blue. But we know the Viego left the Raptors and will definitely start on the Wolves. There's no ways he doesn't go to the Wolves first because of the time he wasted kind of shadowing up on the top side. So if you see the blue available, why are you starting it up as Lee Sin? It's a complete waste. So if you're going to do this as the Lee Sin, make it an invade to kill, right? But you have to be able to do it. That's the ultimate thing. Like, you have to be able to actually kill them. And now the Viego's decided for some particular reason that he thinks he can beat a Lee Sin level 2 1v1. So all you do here is once Lee Sin leaves, you just go to your Grump, you go to your blue, you get level 3. Now as level 3, we can shadow down here. Is this diveable? Can I now invade the enemy jungler? Or do I simply want to try and gank mid lane a little bit to snowball the Katarina and then flex into, I don't know, top side, gank this, just take your camps. You follow? That's the kind of dynamic thinking we need to have. And as I'm talking about that, the Lee Sin, look at this again, look at this, a lot of clicking in this game, but this is very important. We talk about this a lot, right? We see the ward get placed, obviously, if we're paying attention. So we do nice, tight pathing. There you go, look at this, right? Over here. Again, I thought because we didn't see him, right, that he did high and tight pathing, like against the wall, cuts in, right, you follow the mouse, against the wall, through the pixel brush on the outside, into the side brush there. But he was actually not paying attention to the ward, almost went to the mid lane, and almost got detected. This is an absolute shit show. I love it. So basically, in summary, if Viego just took his damn camps once he pushed off the Viego, the Lee Sin, or if he just took his damn camps while the Lee Sin was already here, worst case scenario, we see Lee Sin cross, we're level 3 here, here's level 2, you know, if we need to leave for whatever reason, we can just full clear up, forget the red, gank top lane, do something proactive, you know, but instead we keep coin flipping with the Lee Sin, instead of just giving up the red immediately and making the right plays. And now, once we go to Wolves, delayed, and Lee Sin shows up to invade, and then we chase the Lee Sin away, we give him this possibility. This is the Lee Sin just making a good play, because now he realizes we're both kind of screwed. I might as well just kill him. And the problem is that Viego shoves him all the way up to here and trades with him. What a waste of time. Bot has Prio. Victor had Prio. You know, and now you're thinking, wait a second, Victor shoved on Katarina, so that's Prio, but then Caitlyn and Karma are pushing in, so they have Prio. Yes. Because when Caitlyn and Karma have that Prio and your Blitzcrank and your Sivir are low in levels, they can easily cut through here to this. While your Blitzcrank could definitely cut through here, he can't go back into this side bush. He has to go around the long way. Whereas the tri-bush, that Prio is controlled by the Karma and the Caitlyn if they have complete crash shove, because they can just cut up, right, and go here, and the Blitzcrank would have to rotate around. So Prio evolves based upon the lane state, evolves based upon the matchups, and where exactly the minions are, and who essentially can make it from point A to point B the quickest. So keep your eyes up for that. Now, the Viego compromised himself entirely, and these are the kind of games where you feel absolutely stupid, because you know you're doomed. We know the Lee Sin's on the bottom side now. The Lee Sin could look to, of course, do something here. Could look to do something about the Katarina. Hasn't even done his red. Now he needs to decide, am I going to cut off the Viego entirely, make him as useless as me, or am I going to focus on my own econ just a little bit? Viego had nothing to buy, and so he decides, because the Fiora has Prio, to give up this topside scuttle. Okay, from the Lee Sin's perspective, this isn't the end of the world, but I don't know if I would have just cut for the scuttle, and now go for the Krug invade potentially, look for mid lane again. You could, but now I feel like you're trolling a little bit, right? You've done your job. The Viego's screwed. He's got no wolf camp up, right? He got no scuttle crabs. You could sequence all the way down here. Obviously, look for the gank on the Katarina as necessary. But now we're just running across. The wolf camp's respawning. It should be that 3:55 to 4 minute marker if we're tracking it properly. But the Viego will see this, right? And he gets this top side. So is losing your top side worth losing, right? Worth gating a second spawn wolf camp? No, it's not. And now the Blitzcrank is going to roam up and get in the face of the Viego too. It's all warded up. The Viego should have a scanner. He doesn't. That is the bigger issue here. We get hooked. but you can't expect your Blitzcrank to show up here. This is the Viego doing everything wrong, the Lee Sin being super over-aggressive, and it's just evolving to both jungles being absolutely useless. And that's what we kind of want to avoid. So whenever you have these late level 1 invades, and you see them, as soon as you've seen them, if you know you cannot contest, you just leave, take something else, finish off your quadrant, and then assess what Lee Sin does. If Lee Sin verticals, then you can take his red side. If he cuts across, you can just take your Raptors and your Krugs, gank top lane, Lee Sin ganks bot lane, you get his blue side. You know, it's a good thing for you as Viego. But now you're really compromised, and the Lee Sin runs across here to take the Wolves, to move back to the red side. I don't, like, at some point, stop, right? You've done your job, he's dead. Like, once you've done this, kill him, take this, if you can gank this, gank it, fall back to your red side, you know the guy's gonna take this blue side, so either rotate up and cut him off, or just reset and cut him off, yeah? You've got the Fiora who's pretty good herself, you know, she's handling her business, so a lot of different dynamic movements we can have in this game. A lot of them, it's all about read and react. But all of it is avoided, as usual, if we just, as Viego, say, okay, look, he gets my red, that's fine, I'm gonna go to the blue side quadrant, watch if he crosses, if he doesn't, I can cross later on, and, you know, if you see it early enough, this late invade, like, say, 55, you could always just leave a ward on it, go back to base, get yourself a scanner, and then move down, so that when you do actually want to go ahead and invade his red for vertical, you have a scanner to see what they see, you know? And that's the important thing. Obviously, if they late invade at 120, you know, you're a little less able to go back for a scanner, but Katarina goes for a trade pre-6, which is a little bit odd. Like, she was almost 6, she goes in anyway. Lisa decides to shadow and get the gank off here, that's pretty good. Viego's now trailing, trying to do something. 32 to 20 CS. I like the denial. I don't like that we kind of go scuttle, wolf camp. It feels a little over the top, and we kind of... That's how I would describe what just happened. That's the language I would use. Yeah. Right, so... Now you're thinking, well, wait a second, they're diamond, I can be diamond. No, because, you know, like, you wouldn't think to do these things, you don't have the mechanical competency to actually pull them off, although neither do they, apparently, in this game. So it's less about that, and it's more about, you're so compromising your own experience. Do you understand why? Do you understand what's available? Do you understand where the Viego's going? What the Lee Sin's doing? The Lee Sin now knows that their red buff is going to be up. He can see that the Katarina has some prior because, obviously, his Victor, you know, dead and gone. So he's just going to go straight for this. And again, like, I'm not a fan of this hyper-aggressive nature. Even if it works here. Katarina has prior. Victor's not a base. You know? It's a good kill. Oh, that's not a good Death Lotus, but he should die. There we go. You know, like, cool you killed the Viego, but I would only make their play if I have Victor shoved up and Fiora shoved up, and I'm not worried about them rotating. Because that's a nice little trap. Like, I like the killer mentality, right? Like, I'm going to go straight to the red, because he has to go to the red, because he's got nothing else to do. But obviously, us dying mid lane here, no point, and us dying to the Katarina sucks. So those are issues, obviously. And, you know, got to factor those into the gold swings of the game as it goes. Now, we know the Viego is going to most likely go to the bottom side, but if you are Viego, you know it's probably warded up. Do we just go red and Herald? Do we go, like, his decision... Now, could we cut down and go Herald? Yes, but now the problem is, look at the map. Look at the map. You know, you assume it's warded, he goes for the red, he kites back up to not be seen, obviously, but the Lee Sin knows there's a Scuttle Crab, there's a blue side. It's really tough from Viego's perspective. That's why I talk about this level 1 through level 3 early minute stuff, because, you know, you don't want to be in the situation where it's like, well, I could go red into Herald, but I got no other camps, and it's warded. I have no prior, so should I even try? Or should I just go straight to my blue side and snack it up before Lee Sin shows up? But the Psychopath just died and went straight to my red as well. Ugh. And that's where you want to make sure you're umbrella jungling. Yes? What does that mean? As Lee Sin goes in on the Karma here. Just keep witnessing what we're witnessing for a second. Kind of knew that was coming. Lee Sin with a casual Sonic Wave side Q. Can we get it? Can we get it? Oh, there we go. Nicely. We'll become the victor. Okay. Oh my god. So, in this particular case, vision control is of the utmost importance. So, you want to definitely have a control ward here against this Lee Sin. And honestly, you know, we probably would have a scanner, but I might even swap back to Totem just to put it here so I can actually see when he enters my jungle. And if I'm doing blue into Grump, into Wolves, to Dragon, up to do the red, because I know he's going to try and invade me. Now we know Lee Sin kind of has to start to go for these kinds of things, and we see that the Malphite is quite diveable. So, you know, we can shadow this potential dive. I think that's fine. You could always try and just do the Krugs in the meantime, because we would get level 7, and I feel like that level's pretty important here. But the Fiora's going to go in before the Lee Sin arrives. Malphite's going to use ultimate. The Malphite's going to flash. A Karma Shells gets a Q kill, which means we get that shutdown on the Fiora. We kill the Lee Sin, and now we can go straight to Herald. So, while the Viego has not played very well, and while the Lee Sin has looked cool, at the end of the day, they have the same damn KDA. And Viego's hopeful to get this Herald. Blitzcrank rotated early to deny the blue side quadrant. Karma rotates up here to deny the dive. You know, boom, it's equalized. And yes, Silver Blitzcrank have, instead of losing this lane because of the early, have actually won and shoved down all those plates. Like, they're absolutely shitting on the red side bot lane. Destroying them. You know, Sivir is 5k almost, and Caitlyn has you know, 3.3. So, when you get too warped in the mind, too wrapped up in your mind and warped, you know, in terms of shutting down the enemy jungler like that, and you compromise your own econ and your ganking, you're taking it to the extreme. Like, once you've ruined the Viego's life, when he died with 4 CS, now focus on the lane that you're nearby. Because you know that the Viego's going to spend a lot of time trying to offset that deficit. Yeah. And again, it is a Viego. Viego has the ability to get back into games with his passive, with his ultimate, right? He's a great comeback / snowball champion. Now he's 5-3-2. You're 4-4-2. You have 500 less gold than him, so basically you have a 1,000-point swing. And even though your bottom lane straight up is winning, right? The enemy bot lane now gets a Herald on the backside. And this is the thing. Yes, our bot lane was winning. Yes, they did their business, right? But they didn't really do it because of us. And it's a TP Sivir, so you can really say you had nothing to do with that. Could we then, while they're winning that, just snowball the Victor a little bit, snowball the Fiora a little bit, which I think we should have done. And what happens is, instead of the red team getting this outlet, this ability to come back and shut down bot, and obviously, you know, make this fight happen, they have to choose between the Fed Victor shoving in, the Fed Fiora shoving in, doing dragons and such things. Like, you've got a winning bot lane, no dragon taken, no Herald taken, the same CS as now the Viego has, basically. Blitzcrank roams and goes and gets this kill on the... I mean, should you really get an assist for that, Lee Sin? I don't think you should get an assist for that. And the Viego settled down a little bit. He's getting some camps in. Sequencing is moving forward. Lee Sin can basically say, hey, let's do a dragon here, but we all know he's going to do the dragon. Really a fiesta game. But honestly, when you have games like this, you know categorically that it's because your decision-making to go for fights is terrible. And one jungler's being monkey aggressive, which is what the Lee Sin was doing. And if you play properly, he gets nothing. Or, you know, worst case, he gets a little bit. But not this much. Then again, doesn't really matter because Viego still go back in the game somehow. Right. Katarina now roams to get the Sivir. What a wild, interesting, but also just straight weird game, isn't it? But hey, this is fun to have because this is the kind of game you do have. And sometimes the enemy jungler like the Lee Sin just invades you as a Viego so much. You're like, I don't know what to do about it. Hopefully, if you can recognize these things on the front line at level 1, you're already avoiding the issues, right? And once you make that read on the Lee Sin, it's a lot easier. And the guy was just like pure denial mode, but not intelligent denial mode. And the Viego did his best to go blue side. Honestly, he should have got away with it. But the Blitzcrank shows up at a base, because they one lane automatically. There you go. It do be that way. So, Lee Sin is 6-4-4. Whole team is showing up here. Do we necessarily want to contest this? Not particularly. If you're the red team, you know, for me, this is not necessarily a fight I'm willing to die for. Just give them the dragon. Take your camps, regain control. Wait for your team and clean up afterwards. Like, it doesn't matter who gets kills here, whatever happens, but That's not a dragon you want to die for if you're the Viego. Just take your camps, man. Push a wave out. Watch and observe. See what's going on. Then rotate over. Sivir shows up. Mighty Fed she is. Forces a flash from the Karma. Katarina's going to show up. Q hits from the Lee Sin. Sonic Wave. Sivir goes back to the bottom lane. Yeah. Yeah. Very interesting. Right, so 5k gold down. Now what you do as a red team is you try and swoop as much as you can. You ward as much as you can. You sequence your camps and drag them as much as you can. You just don't enter bad fights. Alright, you just look to make the picks you can make. Try and track the objectives as best you can. Victor will become quite difficult. Karma has hit the active. We're going to try and get the chain CC here. We know that there should be a Lee Sin and a Blitzcrank showing up, so you better go in and get that kill quickly, which they do. The Caitlyn shows up here and sees the Sivir trying to take the blue buff. ADC, ADC, AD. Almost. But the red team are now shadowing. They're going to get the blue buff. Well, Blitzcrank didn't get the blue buff. Can we get the Sivir? We don't have a shutdown anymore. We saw obviously in the bottom left there the rest of the team rotating. Oh, yeah. Well, now he's farming. Better farm now. While the Viego's like, well, I've taken my camps on the top side. There's nothing to counter jungle. I just rotate and kill everybody myself. Lee Sin's like, well, maybe we can do something about the Malphite here again. Malphite does have ult once more. He's going to hit that ult upon that Q flash once more, exact same play. The Lee Sin decides to wait this time before, but he still dies anyway. The Viego's now down here. They finally get this kill, which is great because they had that bounty. Maybe we can steal his red, take some more camps. They're going to rotate to the top lane here. Let's see what happens. Sivir's going to shut down the mid lane. Shove that up right there. Viego's going to go in onto the Victor. Get hooked in. Oh, man. Oh, man. Sivir shoving in. Plays are going to be made. All the Viego has to do is go back to base and spend some cash money gold. Instead, he tries to overcommit. Blitzcrank shows up and he dies. Man, I felt like the comeback arc was about to happen. Didn't you feel it? The Lee Sin was just playing over-aggressive. The Viego was back in the game. Katarina was doing stuff. Sivir is super fed. She dies. Caitlyn kills her. There's no thinking in this game, is it? This is a very hormonal game. I don't know when this game happened exactly, but everyone in this game was not having a good day, I can tell you that much. Not at all. Q misses. Doesn't matter. Viego's shadowing, doing his camps. Alright, let's see what happens here. It's really become not very theoretical. Again, like yesterday's game, but that's fine. I like sometimes having these games where a lot of the loss is attributed to early decisions and the continuing fighting, which you don't really always want to go for. But we are able to kill the Victor, which is pretty good. See if we can get some resets here. There you go. That's nicely done. That should be another one. We'll become the Blitzcrank as well. Karma. They're going to kill the Fiora because Lee Sin's there. Sivir's by herself. Katarina's going to show up. Lee Sin goes for the Scuttle Crab and the Dragon. Fed Sivir, but Katarina, what's the battle going to look like? I think she gave up. I think she gave up. I mean, who can blame her? So the Viego here is rotating down to help this and this Dragon, but what should you be doing? Just hitting this turret right here. Hit it, hit it, hit it, hit it. Shove it down, get the bounty. Push, 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 push. Force rotation. Cut up, take all of this, join the Malphite. Shove this in. I don't care about any of this. I don't care about this Dragon. Take everything you can from the top side. Now you're juiced and you're in a better position for the next fight. That's the goal here. But instead we rotate over. And again, like I said, the Fiora is able to, the Victor's able to TP to this because there's no pressure. Viego's now just going to die here because he's outnumbered. And that's it, right? Like, that's it. You've just lost the game effectively in this moment. And weak people will FF, which they do. Instead of shoving down, creating some pressure, right? Victor will probably hold mid lane. You can take top lane, push that in as well. You have some sort of spread. Picks can actually be made somewhere else, and you kind of build up that comeback slowly. But they didn't. So hopefully you learned a lot about, like, how insanely varied the early game can be level 1 when you have these invades. There's a lot of stuff to look out for, but you're diamond players, so you can do it. Just don't play like this. Virkayu GG for more in-depth stuff and nice chapters and cohesion for the courses to get you to master. And as always, I'll see you all in the next one.